United Nations spokesperson has said that they have relocated hundreds of staff members and their dependents from Khartoum and other locations in Sudan. The United Nations chief has reiterated his call to all parties to cease hostilities and allow civilians to evacuate from areas affected by the fighting. He added that the United Nations will continue its work with its personnel both inside and outside of Sudan. Two Italian military planes have evacuated 96 people out of Sudan. The two military aircrafts were carrying 83 Italian nationals and 13 other citizens of different nationalities. Footage showed the military escorts and the rescued people, among them minors, and Italy's ambassador to Sudan exiting the aircraft and shaking hands with government officials, including Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani. He said that some Italians, NGO workers and missionaries have decided to stay in the country, while another 19 had successfully been taken to Egypt. The Italian Coast Guard released dramatic footage of the rescue of a group of migrants desperately attempting to reach safety after their boat sunk at sea. The Italian Coast Guard said they filmed this during one of their recent rescue operations. The footage showed the migrants asking for help and trying to swim towards Italian Coast Guard boat as life buoys are thrown at them. Italy is facing a surge in sea migration from North Africa, with more than 28,000 arrivals in the year to date compared to around 6,800 in the same period last year. Another dramatic footage of suspected drug dealers has been brought forward by the Spanish police, shot from a police helicopter. The footage shows suspected drug traffickers being chased at high speed by a police boat before finally abandoning it. According to the local police, the boat was coming from North Africa before it stopped at Cala Gran in the southeast of the island. 3 people were arrested by the police, who also seized around 1,200 kilograms of hashish. The death toll in the Kenyan cult Saga has risen to 73, but reports say it could reach even farther, as the Kenyan Red Cross said 112 people have been reported missing. The bodies are believed to be of followers of a death cult who were asked by their pastor to starve themselves in order to meet their maker. The cult's leader, Paul Mackenzie, was arrested on April 14th following a tip-off that suggested the existence of shallow graves containing the bodies of at least 31 of his followers. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations, or the DCI in Kenya, tweeted that 33 people had so far been rescued. Citizens in Haiti's Port-au-Prince lynched at least 10 suspected gang members as a group of armed bandits was traveling in a vehicle. The gang members were lynched and later set alight. The lynchings followed days of confrontations between gang members and security agents. Gangs in Haiti have grown in strength since the 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, with residents caught in the middle as large portions of the capital and much of the countryside have become lawless. Criminal groups control about 80% of the Port-au-Prince metropolitan area, where some 200 gangs operate with impunity, and that's according to reports. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. This comes less than a week after Fox News and parent company Fox Corp settled a defamation lawsuit by Dominion Voting Systems for $787.5 million. The settlement averted a trial, putting one of the world's top media companies in the crosshairs over its coverage of false vote rigging claims in the 2020 U.S. election. Dominion had alleged that statements made on Carlson's show after the 2020 election were defamatory, and that Tucker Carlson and his team knew their remarks about Dominion manipulating its ballots in favor of Democrat Joe Biden were false.
Japan.
The White House has stated that U.S. President Joe Biden and his South Korean counterpart Yoon Suk Yeol will announce deals related to climate and cybersecurity cooperation this week. This comes ahead of the South Korean president's visit to the U.S. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan also acknowledged South Korea's commitment to helping Ukraine. NASA and South Korea's science agency will sign a pact on Tuesday intended to boost the two countries' cooperation in outer space. An avian influenza has gripped Chilean farms, causing farmers to bury nearly 1 million poultry. This has also put pressure on egg prices. According to local reports, the price of eggs has risen 35% over the last year. Chile has been reporting cases of the H5N1 bird flu since late last year, but only in wild animals. However, the recent cases in industrial farms have caused the government to halt poultry exports. Industrial cases have also been detected in Argentina. Brazil, the world's largest exporter of poultry, still remains free of the contagion. At least 16 people, mostly policemen, were killed by multiple explosions caused by a fire in an ammunition store at a Pakistani police station. The explosions leveled the specialist counter-terrorism station in Kabul town of Swat Valley. The town is situated in the northwestern region of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which neighbors Afghanistan. The incident came amid a string of high-toll militant assaults on police, many linked to the domestic Taliban branch, and initially sparked fears of a fresh attack. But the police said a short circuit in a basement storing grenades and other explosives was the cause of the blast. Indigenous groups from all over Brazil arrived in Brasilia to take part in this year's edition of the Freeland Camp. Hundreds marched through the streets of Brazil's capital, demanding land demarcation under the slogan, "Indigenous future is today. Without demarcation, there is no democracy." Over 6,000 people are expected to partake in the Freeland Camp. According to the event organizers, the camp is expected to gather people until April 28th. The Freeland Camp's first edition was in 2004. Estonian Prime Minister and the President have signed a joint declaration condemning the Ukraine war. The two signed the declaration during a visit to the northwestern city of Zhytomyr. Last week, after holding talks in Kiev, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that Ukraine's rightful place was in the military alliance, though he did not specify the right time for the same.
I had many discussions with this.
Israel came to a standstill last night as a siren marking the start of the annual Memorial Day for fallen soldiers and victims of militant attacks sounded across the country. The main ceremony, attended by Israeli President Isaac Herzog, took place at the Western Wall Plaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also participated in a ceremony at a Jerusalem memorial early in the day. Memorial Day ceremonies will be followed by Independence Day celebrations the following day. However, some of Israel's bereaved families have called on Israeli ministers to refrain from attending Memorial Day ceremonies in the wake of the judicial crisis and other government policies. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić has praised boycott Sunday's vote in northern Kosovo by ethnic Serbs, calling it a peaceful political uprising. In another sign rejecting peace deal between Kosovo and Serbia signed last month, the Kosovan Serbs boycotted the Sunday vote, protesting as reportedly they demanded for more autonomy and they haven't been met, or their calls haven't been met. Northern Kosovo is home to around 50,000 Serbs, while Albanians form a more than 90% majority in Kosovo, but are a small minority in the north. A 7.3 magnitude earthquake struck Indonesia's Sumatra Islands, causing the residents to flee their homes in panic. This earthquake also triggered a tsunami warning for around 2 hours. People in Padang, the capital of West Sumatra, rode on motorcycles in the early hours of the morning with minimal belongings and headed for safe zones in their area. The tsunami warning, asking local authorities to immediately instruct residents of the affected area to move away from shores, has since been lifted. Luxury goods behemoth LVMH is closing in on Tesla for 9th spot on the list of the world's biggest companies by market capitalization, only days after entering the top 10. Shares of the luxury brand have risen 6.9% this month, lifting its market value to about $500 billion, helped by stronger than expected first quarter sales. Meanwhile, Tesla has fallen 23% in the same time, cutting its capitalization to $505 billion as price cuts take a toll on the electric car maker's profitability. New Zealand celebrated Anzac, or Australian and New Zealand Army Corps Day, to mark 108 years since Australian and New Zealand troops landed on the Gallipoli Peninsula in Turkey. Anzac Day also honors New Zealand and Australian Armed Forces members who have died in the conflict. The battle was the first significant military contribution to the First World War by both countries. In Auckland, a crowd of soldiers, veterans and civilians gathered at dawn outside the War Memorial Museum, and the museum's facade was lit up in red. At a summit in Belgium, leaders from European countries surrounding the North Sea have pledged to rapidly scale up offshore wind power generation in the region to strengthen energy security. The aim is also to curb reliance on Russian gas and reduce use of carbon-emitting fossil fuels, which remain dominant. Peruvian archaeologists have discovered a mummy believed to be over 1,000 years old, with some of its skin and hair still intact. The mummy was found at an archaeological complex near Lima's outskirts. The body is believed to be of a young person. Archaeologists are still uncovering new finds in the area. In January, 8 children and 12 adults that were believed to have been killed in a ritual sacrifice were unearthed. From ceramic objects found near the body, archaeologists estimate the mummy is between 1,100 to 1,200 years old and could belong to the Lima or Ichma civilizations. The World Health Organization is working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and other not-for-profit organizations and agencies to reverse a pandemic-driven decline in routine childhood vaccinations. The efforts will focus on boosting rates in 20 countries, which account for 75% of the children who missed vaccinations in 2021. Vaccination rates in children during the pandemic took a hit due to overburdened clinics, lockdown restrictions, and disruptions in transport of vials, syringes, and other medical supplies. Now, according to the WHO, the global immunization coverage for children dropped to 81% in 2021 from 86% in 2019. The latest threat to healthy agriculture is a lanternfly. The spotted, bright-colored plant-hopping insect feeds on sap and can be devastating to wine, grape, and fruit tree growers. The insect has been spotted in 12 states, including Connecticut, Delaware, Indiana, Maryland, among other U.S. regions. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention has stated that each year more than 3.5 million suffer from malaria in Kenya, but with their new vaccine, hope is on the horizon with a new vaccine called R21, whose results from early on have suggested it to be far more effective than RTS. This malaria vaccine is the only one approved by the World Health Organization so far. Final results from late-stage trials have not yet been published, and the R21 vaccine is under review at the WHO. Two major German airports were struck by major industrial action as dozens of flights were grounded due to one-day strike held by security workers and ground services employees. The famous Berlin-Brandenburg airport cancelled all departures after the Verdi union called security workers out on strike until midnight. Roughly 240 flights were scheduled to take off, as in other countries, Europe's largest economy has seen repeated disruption from strike action as workers press for more pay and better working conditions. A spacecraft around Mars ventured closer to the red planet's little moon Deimos. This is the first time when any human-made object ventured so close to Deimos in nearly half a century. The United Arab Emirates Amal spacecraft flew within 62 miles of Deimos last month. Besides collecting the most detailed images yet, the spacecraft has observed the previously unexplored far side of the 9-mile by 7-mile moon. In her latest philanthropic gesture, the Princess of Wales visited a baby Bunk in Windsor. During her visit at the centre that helps families in need, Kate helped fold children's clothing and got nostalgic, talking about her own children growing up. The royal also discussed the challenges the centre workers and volunteers face on a daily basis. The princess is known for making such visits to old-age homes and homes for the needy. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.